Coming up on the PHLY Eagles podcast, we talk about the winners and losers. Now that Eagles camp is over, try to figure out who's going to start week one at cornerback and safety and right guard. We hear from Ross Tucker, all coming up next with EJ Smith in studio on the PHLY Eagles podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles podcast, live from the Xfinity studio, presented by Xfinity, Doodad Dental Group, and True Life Financial Credit Union. Bo Wulf, EJ Smith. How you doing, my friend? True Mark. I said True Life. Why did I say True Life?
You kind of said Munion, too.
Well, because I caught myself that I had said True Life, and so then I went totally off the track. True Life. You made a mistake on a podcast. Next on MTV. That'll do it for the PHLY Eagles show. We have some news, EJ, to unpack here on the injury front, and let's just divert from those botched reads things, and let's instead go to the big deal presented by Cherry Hill Kia. That's right, the big deal presented by Cherry Hill Kia. Some breaking news on the injury front for the Eagles. You are new Stone Cold Newsman. What do you got?
Oh, that's that. As big as the shoes may be to fill, the Stone Cold Newsman might be a bridge too far. Let me just be like a medium air conditioned newsman.
Okay,
and work. I got to earn that title. I feel like I have to work up to that. Yes, we do have some news to discuss. Johnny Wilson will undergo season-ending surgery on his knee and ankle. I apologize for laughing through this. This is again why I'm not the Stone Cold Newsman quite yet. I can see the twinkle in your eye to try and make a joke. I think we should try and be serious about Johnny Wilson's injury, though.
I agree. An ankle is nothing to laugh at.
Yes, I would agree that a knee and ankle injury that requires season-ending surgery. Yes, it definitely is a disappointment for Johnny Wilson. He obviously had a little bit of a rough start to training camp, but he had some strong showings in the preseason games, and even in training camp, we saw him get some reps with the ones. We saw him developing a rapport with Jalen Hurts on some of those 50-50 passes downfield. I feel like I think it's fair to say he had an up and down summer, but we would have expected him to have a role on this team in some fashion. Maybe whether it was from the practice squad or on the 53. I think that he brought value to the offense. It is kind of a weird coincidence that they just traded for John Mechie, who can do some of those things.
Right, we talked about when they traded for him. Oh wait, is Johnny Wilson okay?
Yeah, and he was healthy, for the start of that week in practice. Suffered the injury during it was Tuesday's practice. He suffered the injury, needed to get carted off from the medical tent. And I think that while it isn't a significant loss necessarily for the Eagles offense, it is notable going into cutdown day that they they will be able to IR stash him at this point.
Well, it's not even a stash. He's out for the year.
Well, he's on the active roster. Well, you know what I mean. He's around the team, not on the active roster,
right.
But there is no waiver wire situation at this point here. He will be around the team for the next year.
I mean, listen, first and foremost, you feel bad for the guy. He worked hard to improve from year one to year two. He got better. He looked like he was a little bit more help offensively as a receiver, not just as a blocker. I do think that there was some overstatement about he's definitely wide receiver 4.
Yeah.
I don't think that was the case. And I have a friend texting me oh, that's Darius Cooper's music. No. Darius Cooper was already on the stage. I mean, these two roster wise are unrelated as far as I'm concerned. However, you feel bad for Johnny Wilson.
Yeah, no, I agree that the John Mechie trade, I said it last week that it can be earlier this week, actually. Sorry, I'm losing track of the days here.
We're all over the place.
Yeah. It is. It might just be as simple as John Mechie. They view John Mechie as a better fourth receiver on the depth chart than the options that they had. Now, maybe you think Darius Cooper is actually ahead of Mechie on that depth chart at this
He
point.
is.
But I do think that having Mechie in the building, this is kind of why you do a trade like that, why you do a day 3 pick swap, get rid of a tight end that you were probably going to cut anyway to shore up that position. And yeah, no, I think that now they're, I mean, it sounds callous to say, but reaping the benefits of that trade, you know, because of the fact that we don't really have a question about who the Eagles like dirty work wide receiver is going to be because Mechie's already in the building.
Right. And then from the Eagles front office standpoint, you know, the dispassionate, cold, hard, calculated thing they're thinking is, okay, well, if we were going to suffer one season-ending injury in camp, you know, this is not the worst one that we could have suffered.
Yeah, now
it's the math of it.
To soften this a little bit, because I feel like we have been kind of hard on the Johnny Wilson situation a little bit. I do like wonder what this means for him long term.
Yeah,
it's going to set up a really important summer for him next year because he's going to be fighting for a roster spot. And it is a little disappointing because he was showing some progress throughout the summer.
Yeah.
You know, you wonder what it would have looked like this time
Fun
next
guy
year.
as well. I like talking to Johnny Wilson.
And again, he had some value as a dirty work guy. And again, upside because of his size. And we talked on the show about what does a confident Johnny Wilson look like? What does somebody, you know, a guy with that physical profile, someone who will be a mismatch against defensive backs by the sheer nature of his size. Like that would have been intriguing to watch unfold throughout the season, and now he obviously won't have that.
Do you think, I know that this has been theorized about him before, but do you think that, you know, if this leads to some decreased speed and agility, that maybe tight end is in his future?
It's a good thought. I mean, I think he would be a solid tight end. Now, obviously, he'd be a specialist at tight end. He would not be a well-rounded player at the position, but
He's got 9 months to eat and eat and eat.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm there yet. Like, I don't know if the position swap thing. I think that the thing that they've always talked about with Johnny Wilson is the fact that he can run routes at that size and that he can play receiver at that size. It sounds weird to say it, but if you moved him to tight end, he would be still a little bit bigger than the prototypical tight end size, but it kind of is like what makes him special is that he's a receiver at that size. He's not, you know, sort of among the crowd at tight end. So I'd still like to see him at receiver this time next summer, I guess, assuming he makes a full recovery. But it definitely does kind of open that possibility up a little bit more because I do think that position change is kind of always going to be there for him.
Right. I think that's fair. All right. That'll do it for the big deal presented by Cherry Hill Kia. An early super chat from R. Verma, who says, EJ, do you think that Will Shipley is ready for 5 or so carries a game?
Oh, yeah. I mean, how many did Kenny Gainwell have last year? I definitely think that I think that Will Shipley has proven that he is.
I think Will Shipley has had a very good summer.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So Kenny Gainwell had 75 carries. You divide that by 17 games. Hang with me. So Kenny Gainwell did have around 5 carries last year. I think Will Shipley is ready for that role. I think so. He could even exceed that role because of what he can do in the pass game. Now, if he's in the game, he's going out on a route. I don't think you want him in pass protection very often. Maybe that makes you a little bit more one-dimensional, but I still think that Will Shipley, he's been one of the players, you know, I'm excited to read what you think about all the players and who have maybe helped their stock, who maybe have hurt their stock. But I do think that Will Shipley is one of the probably up there on the stock up, stock down rankings, in my opinion, because he came into the summer. We were wondering maybe if A.J. Dillon could push for that second running back spot. I think that Will Shipley has really taken that job and really proven that he is, you know, qualified for it.
I have the rough outline of the 1 to 91 rankings. I don't know if I'm going to do it. We'll see. But where would you guess that I have Will Shipley? Again, this is based on what were the expectations coming in versus the summer that he had. There's like, you know, won a job unexpectedly. Looks better than they ever have.
He's in that tier.
Okay.
So I feel like won a job unexpectedly is like what, like four guys maybe?
Yeah, there's probably.
Okay. So I'm going to say Shipley's at like 7 or 8. He's
from the entire 91-man roster, the 7th or 8th best summer.
Yeah, because I think he's in that tier of like looks better than they ever have. Now your reaction's making me soften this. I'll say 12th.
12th is exactly dead on.
Oh, there we go. You know, I like. Let me be honest here. Let me just open up my.
You looked at my screen?
No. That's not what I'm going to say at all. When you start a podcast with somebody, especially a daily podcast, you're not really sure if you're going to align mentally with them all the time. You're not really sure if there's going to be like a wavelength here.
Okay.
And I am relieved to tell you that there have been enough times in the last couple weeks where like I've been like, I'm not really sure if I should suggest this or this is the right guess, and we've been literally like in lockstep. So
I mean, the Sidney Brown trade,
that was
some dirty stuff.
I was going to say kismet, but yeah, no, it's just, I would say it's a relief. I've been watching you on this podcast for a long time, and sometimes I'm like, I don't know where this guy got.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot tell you that it's going to be good for your mental health for us to be on the same wavelength that often.
We're not always on the same page because I consider myself reigning king of the beats.
Well, you're not. You're reigning champion of the roster prediction contest. And I also have, we're going to do the turkeys. I have here how many turkeys you put on Dorian Thompson-Robinson being the number 3 quarterback a week ago. So we can go to the tape on that.
And what's funny is I don't have the turkeys in front of me because I am a disorganized mess.
Okay, let's get into it because we're going to do that. We're going to do the exercise we've done a few times throughout training camp, take stock of where we think these position battles are going. And let's just get right to it. Let's start at quarterback, EJ. Quarterback 3, Kyle McCord or Dorian Thompson-Robinson. This is all it's going to be week 1.
I'm putting 99 turkeys on Kyle McCord and 1 on DTR. And the reason that I won't go with a full 100 is risk of injury. I guess like there is always the possibility that they just don't keep a third quarterback, but I think keeping McCord on the roster for the reasons we've talked about makes sense. And then you also have the emergency quarterback rule. You can only access that guy if he's on the active roster. So when I do my 53, maybe I shouldn't be spoiling things because I want to reign. I want to repeat as king of the beats.
Please, you're not even prepared to like do the legwork of running this content.
Oh, I'm not. Yeah. Those two things are totally separate. Everything about me suggests that I would not be good at finding everybody's email.
I've seen those spreadsheets. Yeah.
You see this Google Doc right now. It's not always pretty, but this is really a window into how my mind works. So yeah, I'm leaving space for injury, just a tiny sliver for injury. But yeah, I think that Kyle McCord has won this third quarterback job.
I have 100-0 for Kyle McCord. And just to enter into the court's records, when we did this a week and a half ago, I had 70 on McCord and 30 on DTR. Fran had 65 on DTR and 35 on Kyle McCord. EJ had 80 on Dorian Thompson-Robinson and 20 on Kyle McCord.
This is where I have to
defend yourself.
This is where I have to bring out the classic, I can take in new information and change my mind. I am a fluid person. I am not going to sit here and, be just die with a take.
One good practice.
It was like a week, and it was a week plus of him outplaying Kyle McCord. And maybe
is this your first training camp? Come on.
It's not my first training camp here. But no, I think that what I said a few days ago is what's happened. DTR outplayed Kyle McCord for a stretch, deserved the third quarterback job in that moment. If you had told me to make my 53 that day, I would have favored DTR. But I think Kyle McCord has shown just enough progress, here that he has secured the job, and DTR really has taken a step back since that week and a half where he was on. I mean, maybe you'd call it a creative heater that he was on.
I would not. And I certainly would never say that about myself. Running back 3 is where we are next. A.J. Dillon versus the field. What do you have here?
That was a low blow.
We've already talked about that.
I just needed to say that I did not approve of that joke. Because I'm gonna get a text after about this, and now I have to defend it. AJ Dillon versus the field. Does the field include just not being on the roster?
For sure.
I would probably go 55 AJ Dillon, 45 field.
Interesting.
And this is kind of me hedging against the fact that I haven't made my final decision on if AJ Dillon will be on my 53. In a few days' time. I feel like he's had an encouraging summer, but I just don't know if you really are worried about losing him if he isn't on the initial 53. But he has looked pretty solid this summer. So yeah, he's a tough.
I think he's looked fine. I think he's looked fine. His neck has stayed on.
Yeah, he's been healthy, and if they roster him and say this is a guy who's going to spell Saquon Barkley in short yardage situations and be a battering ram, what?
SAQUON.
I see what you did there.
He also, A.J. Dillon, has earned the award, I believe, of most media availability of any Eagle.
He's like
over
the Alex
camp.
Singleton of
What
this
are we
season,
doing?
where it's like, yeah, he just must be happy to do it, and listen,
Very funny.
I mean, yeah.
We have talked about. I feel worse about my ability to predict this 53 than most years, because I feel like there are like 8 spots where they could go in a bunch of different directions, and I really don't have a good sense of what they think of AJ Dillon. I think it would not surprise me at all if Montrell Johnson makes the team instead of AJ Dillon. I think he offers a very similar skill set, and he's fully controllable, and I don't think they're that different. You could talk me into AJ Dillon. They think he's going to be a really big part of this roster. They could carry 2 running backs and bring him back on the practice squad. They could bring somebody else in elsewhere. I don't know what they're going to do at RB3.
Yeah, there are a lot of position groups.
For the record, I have it at 60-40 AJ Dillon.
Okay, gotcha. So we're very similar.
Yeah.
There are a lot of position groups where you're going to have to make a decision between a veteran player that you probably would not risk losing if you did not put them on the initial 53-man roster. You could bring them back on the practice squad, bring them back in week 2 with a non-guaranteed contract. There's some roster finagling that you can do at a lot of spots if you have a young player that you value, like a
and there aren't
Johnson.
that many young players. There aren't that many spots where they need to create room.
Right, we're talking about like undrafted guys, like Miles Hinton, Montrell Johnson. Like there are a lot of position groups, even like somebody like Tristan McCullum. It's like you've got depth players that present some maybe mid to long-term upside, and you can clear space for them if you wanted to, but it's also not like this is the deepest. We talked about this. It's not the deepest 53-man roster projection we've ever had to do. So that's why I kind of hedged, is because it's like, if they need the space, AJ Dillon is a perfect candidate to not make the initial 53 and still be around the team. But are they really going to need that space? So I don't know if any of the undrafted running backs have shined enough to make me think that they would roster one of them over AJ Dillon, but I could see a world where they borrow from the running back room. I mean, I've talked about Ben Van Sumeren being somebody I think is on. I mean, do they borrow from that room to get a few more developmental offensive linemen onto the roster? I think they have options there.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to tight end 3. Frank Alcantara seems to have cemented that number 2 spot. So the options here: E.J. Jenkins, Kylan Granson, Nick Muse, and Cameron Latu. Unfortunately, Harrison Bryant no longer with us. I'll go first.
Yeah, go first.
I have it at 60 at Granson.
Okay.
Now, we didn't do the field here, and I do think that this is a spot where maybe they carry 2 and then they claim a young tight end, or they trade a late round pick swap for somebody. I think they could try to add someone here. But if it is the in-house people, I have a slight lean towards Granson, 35 on Jenkins, and just 5 on Nick Muse. None on Cameron Latu.
Yeah, I feel like I'm leaning toward just giving all of my turkeys here to Granson and Jenkins.
Yeah, it's probably smart.
I probably would go 60 Granson, 40 Jenkins.
Yeah.
I'm leaning I think that my EJ Jenkins bias is still showing here. He's a guy who's been around the team.
Jenkins.
And I do think that, but again, he's like somebody you could get to the practice squad and keep around.
He looks the same as he did last year. I haven't seen another jump from him.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
All right, let's do an interesting one before the next ad break, and that is wide receiver 4. So pour one out for Johnny Wilson, and that leaves us with Terrace Marshall, Darius Cooper, Anais Smith, and John Mechie. And this is just for who plays the most snaps week 1. I'll let you go first.
Okay, I'm going to go 45 John Mechie. I'm going to go 35 Darius Cooper, and I'm going to go 20 Anais Smith. I might even take some away from Anais Smith here. I might do 55 Mechie, 45 Cooper, 10 Anais Smith. I'd be very surprised if Anais Smith played.
That's 110.
Oh, God. I told you my math skills are
You had it the first time.
How did I mess it up then? Because I added
I think
10.
maybe you want 50, 40, 10.
Okay. Yeah, that's where I'm at. 50 for Mechie, 40 for Cooper, 10 for Anais Smith. I'd be very surprised. I mean, you could tell me Anais Smith has a role on the team as a punt returner, like the Britton Covey role where he doesn't really play much on offense. I'd be surprised if he outsnapped either of those 2 guys. And maybe this is like the Darius Cooper bias that we have shown. But again, and we've talked about this before.
I was looking up Tarleton State merch before. That was VG's idea. I like that. I might get myself
get some tickets while we're at it. No, I think Darius Cooper's versatility to play different spots in the offense also makes him a better bet than Anaya Smith in terms of offensive snaps.
No doubt about it.
I do think that Mechie, the fact that he's kind of quickly risen to the first team, I know injuries play a part there, but the fact that he didn't have that ease in process, I could see him getting the most snaps out of these guys in week 1.
I went 50 Cooper, 45 Mechie, 5 Anaya Smith. For all the reasons you said. I think early on I'll give a slight lean towards Darius Cooper, although I could see, short yardage situations. They have a specified blocking role for Mechie, but those guys are be on the team, I think.
Yeah.
All right, quick commercial break to hear from some sponsors. We'll come back. We'll talk more turkeys, and then later in the show we're going to talk to Ross Tucker, who's calling the game, the preseason finale on Friday night. I want to know how worried he is about the Eagles' offensive line depth. We start with our friends at Ace Hardware Home Services. And you might be wondering, well, what do they bring at Ace Hardware Home Services? I'll tell you exactly what they bring. At Ace Hardware Home Services, whenever they get ready for the next job, they remember what to bring, and that is experience. We're talking local plumbers and techs who handle everything from repairs and seasonal maintenance to installations and upgrades. But it's not just experience, it's also understanding. They listen to your goals, and the job isn't completed until you are satisfied. And it doesn't stop there. They also bring helpful to your home so you can spend more of your time on the projects that really matter. Free estimates on equipment installation and replacement with trusted advisors and options that are best suited for your home and budget. At Ace Hardware Home Services, they have service you can trust, and it is satisfaction guaranteed. Ace Hardware Home Services are local. Their teams live and serve in your community, and they are dedicated to keeping your neighbors comfortable in their home. Visit Ace Hardware Home Services online at acehardwarehomeservices.com to get started on your next project.
This show is also brought to you by Xfinity, now offering a 5-year price guarantee to new customers. Life is unpredictable, but the price of your internet should not be. Get a reliable price for a reliable connection. And with Xfinity, all in means all in. You can get your Wi-Fi equipment and unlimited data included in this offer. One internet price, 5 years, guaranteed. Change is always happening. Songs are rewritten, classics are remixed, bands and artists come and go. But no matter what changes in 5 years, the price of your internet will stay the same. Learn more at xfinity.com. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change.
By the way, we've also got the Doodad Dental Bright Smile Sweepstakes going on. One more day to get in for this week's entry. Through the end of August, we've got 2 different things going on. There is the weekly prize, which is a Philips Teeth Whitening Home Kit to a lucky winner. And at the end of the sweepstakes, we give away a grand prize, which is an Oral-B IO toothbrush. We are talking top-of-the-line tech for your teeth. Entering is easy. Just head to allphly.com/Doodad Dental Group, fill out the entry form, and you are eligible for both prizes. That's it. No purchase necessary. Once again, head to allphly.com/Doodad Dental Group and enter the Doodad Dental Bright Smile Sweepstakes today. Full sweepstakes rules and eligibility can be found at allphly.com/Doodad Dental Group. Must be 18 or older to enter. Terms and conditions apply. Okay. Right guard, EJ.
This
100 on Tyler Steen?
Yeah, this one's really easy. It's 100 on Tyler Steen without any shadow of a doubt.
Do you think we've got the image for this video, the winners of training camp so far. We see Sidney Brown on there. I think you could argue Sidney Brown is maybe more a winner because of circumstances beyond his control to some degree. He's looked fine. Tyler Steen, do you think that this is more the result of nobody's really pushed him, or do you think that he has, in conjunction with that, also looked very good?
No, I think he has looked very good this summer. And honestly, it's been validating as somebody, just as much as I have been effusive of my belief in Keely Ringo eventually developing into a player that the Eagles could trust to start games. I felt that
Thompson
way.
Robinson becoming a Pro Bowler.
That one has never been on the record. I don't think, and it's never been off the record for that matter. But I've always felt like Tyler Steen, it almost felt like there was something missing there. Like we were missing something with him. I feel like as a player, when I saw him in game situations, Obviously he's had hiccups in relief duty before, but he has also played good football for the Eagles in his career. So, obviously the way that last summer went, Mekhi Becton sort of took that job and ran away with it. But I always felt like Tyler Steen was a capable starting interior offensive lineman for this team. I think he's shown that this summer. So no, I think he has been encouraging. The only player that I can really think that's given him much trouble is Moro Ojomo, and he's given a lot of players trouble. He's given Landon Dickerson trouble. He looked good during the joint practices. So no, I think that even if a competitor had emerged for Tyler Steen, I think he looked good enough this summer to win the job.
And I'll tell you what, I'm thinking about it now. On an offensive line where they've had a lot of moving parts, Tyler Steen, I believe, has taken every single rep.
Yeah,
with the ones.
Yeah, he had one moment during the summer where he got hurt. Well, it seemed like he got hurt. It seemed like he just got hit below the belt, and he missed no time.
That's right.
That. Yeah,
yeah. So. I mean, Juergens was doing a lot of rotating in early in camp on a pitch count. Obviously, Dickerson has had the injury. Lane Johnson takes off time. Jordan Mailata now has the concussion. And Tyler Steen, someone who has battled some injuries in the past, has been very steady. And I agree, he has looked good.
Yeah, I mean, we went into training camp with that as one of the major questions. It feels like we went into training camp just as curious about right guard as we were at cornerback.
Yeah.
And you think about how different those two position battles have gone. Obviously, again, not necessarily a real contender against Tyler Steen for that job, but the fact that he didn't ever really welcome one either.
Yeah.
He really never opened the door for somebody to take that spot and really run with it.
It reminds me of in the spring when I think it was Jordan Mailata was asked about right guard, and he was like, "Oh, what competition?" And we were all thinking, "Well, what are you talking about? They just traded for Kenyon Green. Like, obviously, he's going to be involved." And I think it's realistic to think that in that room, there never was a competition. They viewed it as Tyler Steen's job.
If you're Tyler Steen, do you take that starting right guard locker back from Mekhi Becton? Obviously, it's Mekhi Becton's not there.
Oh, that's cursed.
To remind the listeners, Tyler Steen had the right guards.
They have in the back corner of the locker room. There is room for it's just 5 lockers on this side before the entrance into the players' lounge, and it is left to right the starting offensive line.
And to my knowledge, it's always been the starting offensive line. I'm not sure if there's an exception. You've been covering the team longer than me, but it was like Tyler Steen had that starting right guard.
They gave him that locker,
and it felt like, okay, like this is them telling him like, you are the starter, like this is your job now.
Yeah.
And then when he lost the competition to Mekhi Becton, like a week, maybe even a few days later, Mekhi Becton's in that stall. Tyler Steen,
we didn't know. Oh, because we didn't go in the locker room.
I think Tyler Steen might have had that stall when we first got locker room access.
Oh.
And Mekhi Becton eventually took it over, and we asked Mekhi about it, and he's like, well, I asked Tyler, and he said it was fine. So Tyler moved to the other side of the door, 5 or 6 stalls down with the rest of the reserves. Do you take that locker back, or do you go, I don't even want that locker at this point?
I bet he takes it back.
Yeah, I feel like there is like a team culture.
Because otherwise, who gets it?
Like Darian Kinnard or somebody. Yeah, no, I guess Tyler Steen's taking that locker back, but I wonder what that feels like. You got booted from that locker this time last year.
Now he makes it his own.
It's a full circle moment.
I mean, listen, he's got a chance to stick there.
What journalist does not love a full circle moment? That's not an actual question. It was a rhetorical question.
No, I'm trying to think of I don't know, some square. Okay. Swing tackle is next. We've got Kendall Lamb, Darian Kinnard, and the field. And this is interesting now because the field does include Matt Pryor, who over the past week has kind of been the swing tackle. So do you believe that it will be Matt Pryor, or do you believe it will be Darian Kinnard? Because I don't think either of us thinks it's going to be Kendall Lamb on week 1. Maybe.
I would venture to put 0 on everybody. I don't think they have a swing tackle this year. Like, I feel like there is a real world where it is Darian Kinnard on one side and Matt Pryor on the other.
Interesting. Why would their skill sets are very similar? You think that Pryor would be on the left and Kinnard on the right?
I don't. Have we seen Kinnard play any left tackle?
Not this summer. We've seen him play left guard.
I think if you wanted me to categorize it, like, I don't know. I don't think.
I also think it's more, like who's the first, if a tackle goes down, who's the first one up?
Yeah, I would probably lean Pryor at this point. We talked about it yesterday. I'll be curious to hear what Ross has to say about it. Yeah. I don't think they have a swing tackle this year. I don't think that there is a guy that it's like, if Jordan or Lane go down, he is the clear answer. I think that they might be more split. I mean, Nick Sirianni alluded to it yesterday.
Yeah, that seems so difficult, though. I mean, what are you going to do? You have Kendall Lamb at left tackle, and Matt Pryor's the one who's got the reps the other day.
Yeah, I think Pryor probably is your left tackle, and then Kinnard is your right tackle. I think Kinnard is your first guy up on the right side of the Eagles' offensive line. You disagree?
I feel like it. Yeah, I do. I think if Pryor is your left tackle, I think he is also your right tackle.
Yeah. We just haven't seen it.
We've seen plenty of him at right tackle.
Yeah. I don't think that they have the swing guy this year. I think it is one of the question marks we've had the last few days.
Well, for the record, I have 51 on Kinnard, 45 on the field being Pryor, and just
so you're out on Lamb. Yeah, okay.
4 on Lamb, yeah.
There was a time this summer where Kendall Lamb was leader in the clubhouse, in my opinion. But he is...
10 days ago, you had him at 55.
Yeah, and I think that was valid at that point. He just really tailed off.
What numbers? What numbers would you like me to put down here, just for the record?
I would probably lean more toward Kinnard and then more toward the field because it represents Matt Pryor. So maybe 50 Kinnard, 40 field, 10 Lamb.
Got it. Good math.
Thank you. Right off the top of the head.
Next up, we go to the defensive side of the ball. Defensive tackle for week 1. May not need to have a ton of snaps here, but the contenders are Ty Robinson, Gabe Hall, and Byron Young.
I'm going to probably go 50 Robinson, 50 Hall. I think that it probably will come down to happenstance, in my opinion. I feel like both of those guys have played about the same in the preseason. Obviously, Robinson's got the draft pedigree, but I don't know. You know, when Fran likes a guy, I pay attention. And Gabe Hall's had a really good summer.
I go 65 Gabe Hall.
Really?
Okay. Yeah. 25 on Ty Robinson, and I have 10 on Byron Young.
Okay.
I feel like Byron Young is a player who the staff is higher on than we are. And it has caught my attention that there have been times lately when it has been Hall and Young on the field and Robinson on the sideline. I think it's possible that Ty Robinson is not ready to play week 1 like we kind of think he is.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Especially like, I mean, if you'd ask me who looks better, I would say Gabe Hall looks slightly better this summer.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe I am overweighting the draft pedigree. I just feel like it's hard to ignore.
Okay, we go to edge 3 now, and this is one where, I was on with Cuz this morning, and he asked, if they make a trade, how he makes a trade, what position is it going to be? I do believe if they're going to trade something material, like a Dotson trade from last year, let's call it a future 3rd-round pick, edge to me is the one that makes the most sense.
Yeah, I think so. Now I want to hear your field. I want to hear what you gave the field.
Well, yeah. So the options here for edge 3 week 1 are Azeez Ojulari, Josh Uche, Agbo Okoronkwo, and the field. And I have Ojulari 36, Uche 34.
Really?
You know what? I did it wrong.
I'm about to say, I feel like Uche.
Oh no, I don't. I'm not wrong about that. I have the field at 40. I think the field is the likeliest of the 3, but it's still under 50%.
I had Uche 50, Ojulari 30, field 20. I mean, and just mostly the field being 20 is reflective of like you just don't know what that market actually will look like for the Eagles. But I'm surprised that you have Ojulari over Uche. Is it because of his early down value? Like
yes.
Okay.
I mean, it's very close. I think Uche is more likely to make the team than Ojulari, but I think if Ojulari makes the team, he's more likely to be on the field on 1st and 2nd down.
Yeah, I completely agree. I know Ojulari had the good joint practices against the Browns, and maybe that is suggestive of like he could be better when he's not going against 2 all-pro caliber tackles every single week. But I lean more toward Uche as edge 3 because he's just shown us more this summer. And then again, the field, if you told me that like a handful of guys that we discussed over the last few days were available, I'd probably bump the field up because I don't know. I do think that that's exactly the spot. If you told me Jalix Hunt was edge 3, I'd feel so much better about that room.
Sure. So for the record, I will go 35 field, 33 Ojulari, 32 Uche.
Okay.
Where are you going?
I'm going 50 Uche, 30 Ojulari, 20 field. I'm going to stick with it. I could never do the math that you just did for the record.
So difficult. Okay, linebacker 2. Who's going to start week 1? Jihaad Campbell or Jeremiah Trotter Jr.?
I'm going to go.
Or Smile Monton. He's involved.
I wanted to go like shut the door on this one.
Yeah.
Because I think Jihaad Campbell deserves it. But I'm going to go 75 Jihaad Campbell, 25 Jeremiah Trotter Jr. And the reason being...
Would you believe that is less confident than you were a week and a half ago in Jihaad Campbell?
I mean, this is not a reflection of Jihaad Campbell at all. I think Jihaad Campbell has been... Where is Jihaad Campbell? What neighborhood is he in?
He's like 3 or 4.
Yeah, I was about to say, he has had an excellent summer. But Jeremiah Trotter Jr. has had a very solid summer. If Jihaad Campbell... Let's live in a fictional space here for a second where Jihaad Campbell spent his entire summer working as an edge rusher. I would not feel worried about the Eagles linebacking core
Hmm.
with Zach Bond and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. I wouldn't be as bullish on them, and maybe that group being the difference maker in some weeks, but I would feel confident that Jeremiah Trotter Jr. could spell that's I'm not going to do the spell thing again. I'd be confident that Jeremiah Trotter Jr. would be able to hold that position over in the time it takes Nakobe Dean to come back. And honestly, if you told me he had to start the entire season, I wouldn't feel like that's a difference-making group. I feel like Zach Bond's a difference maker.
Yeah.
The guy next to him is kind of being carried by the fact that he's playing next to somebody that dynamic. When you put Jihaad Campbell in there, it is like, okay, I think that this is a position group that can set the table for the defense. Now, with that said, I still feel like Jihaad Campbell deserves to start, but Jeremiah Trotter Jr. has kind of been hanging around all summer. He won't go away. He's also had a very solid summer.
I agree.
Yeah, so to me, like, it would not shock me if on early downs in week 1, if they went, you know what, Trot is going to get the start over Jihaad Campbell.
Yeah. I could see that. I think Jihaad Campbell has been too good, and the idea of him and Zach Bond playing next to each other is too enticing to do that.
I agree.
But I agree that Jeremiah Trotter Jr. has had a very good summer. And he does have really good instincts, and he is really good coming downhill. You know, he's a little bit smaller. He's not great going backwards, but yeah, I think the Eagles should feel very good, and Eagles fans have to feel better about this linebacker group, top to bottom, than they ever have, at least in my time covering the team.
Yeah, just, I mean, think about the way that we've talked about them in this segment about the fact that, like, not only are they passable, not only do you not have to worry about them, they could decide games for you. And you're in your favor, not in a negative way. It is really something we have not seen from an Eagles linebacking core.
All right, 2 more to get to before we hit the break and welcome in Ross Tucker. We go to cornerback 2, the big one, the main event. Keely Ringo, Adoree Jackson, Jacorian Bennett, or the field. Is there somebody else out there? Whether that's Mac McWilliams or somebody from another team, or Cooper DeJean, probably not in nickel.
Yeah.
Who starts week 1?
This is a cop out for me. I'm going 40 Adoree, 40 Jacorian Bennett.
You got to go one in a different direction.
And I did. All right, fine. 41 Jacorian Bennett, 39 Adoree Jackson.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go 10 for Ringo. It's like a pity 10. And then 10 for the field. You know what? I'll keep going I'll deviate from the round numbers. Okay. I'll go 11 field, 9 Ringo.
Okay. We are very close here. I have 45 on Bennett, 40 on Adoree, 10 on Ringo, and 5 on the field.
Oh, so you think there's more of a chance that Keely Ringo would start over the field, which includes Mac McWilliams?
Yes.
I don't know if I would get there. That's why I went 11-9.
I understand.
I didn't say
I know how the numbers work.
But I feel like Mac McWilliams versus Keely, I feel like they have about the same chance by themselves.
I think there is a world in which, like, this is the Eagles hitting Keely Ringo like a dog with a wet newspaper or whatever. Like, they're batting him back, and then they're going to try to build him back up, and like they think that he is the best one week 1. I don't think they're going to trade for. I don't think it's going to be Mac McWilliams week 1.
Yeah, I don't think.
I think you could convince me that maybe down the line, but it's not going to be him week 1. And I don't think they're going to trade for a starting corner. I think they've already made their cornerback trade.
Yeah.
And I think right now, I think it is a little bit more likely that it's going to be Jacorian Bennett than Adoree Jackson. Just a very little bit.
I would agree with everything except the idea that, is this just like, all right, Keely, you took your lumps in training camp, go out there, sink or swim. It's such a confidence position. I don't think you want to just like kill the guy's confidence all summer.
And it has also been on my radar that I feel like they have treated him that, like, you know, Vic has not gone out of his way to be super honest about Keely Ringo, you know, like it feels like he has protected him a little bit.
He's been trying to build him up, I think, because they know that, they see the same potential we see, which is that he could be a very solid cornerback in the NFL. He has to get the technique down. He has to be able to get maybe the mental side of things, be a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more composed out there. And the fact that it's spiraled anyway, I think.
Do you think this will be the end of Keely Ringo as a starting caliber option for the Eagles?
No, I don't think so. I mean, this could be another Tyler Steen situation where he comes back next summer, better prepared for a training camp competition. And because I still think, just like I thought with Tyler Steen this time last year, I still think there is a player there, but he has to take strides in some areas that you kind of wish that he had taken those strides in the year he had behind the scenes, working with a defensive backs coach like Christian Parker, who has brought guys along, but maybe he is just going to take that extra year. So I wouldn't close the door on it.
He could start a game later this season.
Right. And he has looked better in the games than he has this summer. Now, does that say that he maybe has regressed? I'm not sure, but no, I wouldn't close the door on Keely Ringo as a concept, but I don't think that I think that Vic Fangio is such a trust-based coach that like what he's seen from Keely Ringo, especially trying to get him there, I don't think he's going to be able to trust him.
All right, very quickly, last one. Safety, opposite, Reed Blankenship, week 1, Makuba, Sidney Brown, or if you would like, you can throw some on Andre Sam, Tristan McCollum, or the field.
I'm going to go 65 Brown, 35 Makuba, and that's mostly reflective of the fact that Makuba is currently injured. I mean, if he's healthy, I think he'd have a chance at it, but he's missed a lot of time this summer by the nature of the injuries that he's had. And again, this is another thing, like Vic Fangio, trust-based coach. I'm not sure he's going to want Andrew Makuba fresh off a hamstring injury, fresh off of missing practice time, being their week 1 starter. I think if it
wasn't for the injury, I think it would have been Makuba.
Yeah.
But right now I also have Sidney Brown. I go 55 Sidney Brown, 40 Makuba, and 5 on the field. Okay. Quick break here from the Xfinity studio. We'll be back with Ross Tucker on the other side. If you're looking for the dealership with the most inventory and super low lease payments in the Philadelphia area, KiaofCherryHill.com is the place to go. You can choose from over 450 new Kias, including Tellurides, Sportages, K5s, Carnivals, Seltos, Souls, and more. I got to tell you, Kia is the hottest automotive brand in the country for a reason. 7 of their models received 2025 Car and Driver Editor's Choice Awards. That's amazing considering there were more than 450 models tested and only 20 models industry-wide received the award. I have a new Kia, and I love it. But I do regret that I didn't go to Cherry Hill Kia because, honestly, it wasn't the best experience. I should have gone to Kia of Cherry Hill. And you combine all of that stuff with the best warranty in the automotive business, 10 years, $100,000 mile powertrain, and 5 years, $60,000 mile bumper to bumper. All that stuff is why we need to see you in a Kia. Stop in today. Tell them PHLY sent you and receive a $100 restaurant.com gift card just for taking a test drive or completing a trade appraisal. I know people buy Kias elsewhere. I just don't know why. And I regret it. Drive home in your new Kia today, just minutes from all bridges, or available online 24/7 at KiaofCherryHill.com.
Next, we're going to talk about some breaking news from Bet365. They pioneered live in-game betting and have 90 million users worldwide. Bet365 Live streams 780,000 events each year and offers the widest range of games and markets available for live in-game betting across 78 sports each year, with early payout offers across the NBA and NHL. With Bet365 early payout offer, you're a winner if your team goes 5 runs ahead with an instant payout on straight bets and parlay selections marked as winners. Download the app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. New customers can now also get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use the code PHLY365, deposit $10, and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. Again, win or lose. Bonus bets can be used on the spread totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or over and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right. Back on the PHLY Eagles podcast. Very happy now to be joined by the man who will be calling the game tomorrow night as the Eagles close out the preseason. That's right. The host of the Ross Tucker podcast, who you should follow on social media at Ross Tucker NFL. Mr. Ross, how you doing?
I'm doing great, fellas. How are you guys doing? I've seen this show so many times. I'm honored and thrilled to be on it. This is awesome.
We are thrilled to have you. We're looking forward to listening to the game tomorrow night. I want to start with the offensive line because we have talked about it a lot this week. There's a lot of attention paid to cornerback 2, and certainly that is a concern. And who else is going to start at safety, and how is the edge rush depth going to be? But I do think that somewhere in Howie Roseman's mind, the thing that is really bothering him is how do I feel good about the offensive line depth? Tyler Steen has had a great summer. The starting 5 seems good if we can knock on wood and hope that Landon Dickerson is going to be back. But we're sort of missing the Last year there was Tyler Steen as a backup. The year before that, Cam Jurgens was a backup. You had Fred Johnson as a backup. It seems like we're sort of missing that this summer. Do you feel that way? Is there someone who you feel very confident about?
Well, I'll tell you one guy that's really jumped out to me positively, and that's Drew Kendall, the rookie center out of Boston College. I think he's going to be pretty good. The question is whether or not and how quickly they would feel good about him backing up a guard spot, right? I spoke with him last week. I mentioned this on the telecast. Drew has not played or had not played guard in a game since high school until last week against the Browns. I think you could tell he was a little bit rusty. Jeff Stoutland likes to get these guys comfortable at one spot before he starts to tinker around and move them around. I think it's a very good sign for Drew Kendall that they put him in the game last week at guard, because that almost indicates that Stoutland feels good about him at center, right? Like he feels good enough about him as the backup center that he can then put him at guard and see what he can do there. So I thought that was a good sign for Drew Kendall. That's not the same as saying that I think Drew Kendall is ready to play a whole game at guard, which is then interesting, right? There's a lot of possibilities, which I know Howie Roseman and Jeff Stoutland do like. If, let's just say, Landon Dickerson couldn't play in week 1, right? Is it Matt Pryor at left guard? He's got experience at both guards, both tackles. Is it Brett Toth, who's kind of been the first man up? He's been around for on and off for 7 years, which is just unbelievable if you think about it, for a guy I think has started 2 games in his NFL career to have stuck around in one way, shape, or form for 7 years. Is it Drew Kendall? I mean, I don't think they would do this, but it's not outside the realm of possibility that if they think clearly the best next guy is Kendall at center, would they bump Cam Jurgens out to guard for a game or two until Landon came back? I doubt it. If it were a long-term injury to Landon, that makes it even more interesting. On the one hand, so he's been the guy that has stood out to me most positively from the projected backup offensive lineman. I think, on the one hand, I don't think the other guys have played all that well. The flip side is, Matt Pryor and Kendall Lamb, like on some level, these guys are known commodities, right? I mean, these guys have played a lot of football. They've started a lot of games. So if one of the biggest concerns on a team is that your backups are Matt Pryor, Kendall Lamb, and these guys are almost, I think Kendall Lamb is. Matt Pryor's close to double-digit years in the league. They both started a boatload of games. It's probably a pretty good sign if that's a major worry.
I think that is fair. The one guy you didn't mention, Ross, just to check with you on it, is Darian Kinnard. Do you have an opinion on Darian Kinnard? Because we've seen him play right tackle, right guard, left guard, all those positions this summer.
Yeah, so I have 2 opinions on Kinnard, and I don't want to steal my thunder for what I'm going to say probably on the broadcast the other night, but I would not cut Darian Kinnard. He's 3 for 3 winning the Super Bowl. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't know if he's a good luck charm or whatever. I never met the guy, but I hate his guts. I'm incredibly jealous.
He has never, ever not won the Super Bowl.
3 years and he wins the Super Bowl all 3 years. I mean, what are the odds of that? Bo, you're the one that does those deep dive research articles. Find out how many guys have ever done that. I need that by 6 p.m. tomorrow night, by the way. How many guys have ever won?
I mean, how many guys are like, hey, Darian, I'm going to the casino tonight. You got to come with me. Like, all these things.
It's unbelievable. No, I am curious to see how he performs tomorrow night. I thought he did some really positive things last year in the preseason, and I was not surprised that he made the team. I don't know that I feel like he's really taken a step forward. I don't know if he's taken a step back. It does sort of seem like Pryor's ahead of him, at least at tackle, based on where they put them. And then the fact that, like, when Landon's out, they haven't put Kinnard at left guard. I thought that was interesting as well. I kind of thought there was a chance that he was next man up there, but they don't seem to feel that way. So remember this. And it's funny because I said this week on the Ross Tucker podcast as it relates to the Colts quarterback decision. what fans and a lot of people in the media, and honestly, even some front office scouts really like and value is upside, potential, physical traits, all those things, right? I can speak to this because I lived it. Coaches value trust. Coaches value the guy that they trust will do the right thing, will not screw up mentally, and will not be the reason why the team loses the game. I played 7 years, started 25 games, played in 45, whatever it was, mainly because of that, right? Like, I was never the guy that the team was excited was out there playing, but they also knew, okay, we're not going to lose because of Ross. We know where he needs help or whatever, and he's going to do everything the right way, the way we ask him to do it.
Which I think says a lot about Brett Toth potentially, if he's called into it. Go ahead.
There are some similarities there. I'd like to think that I was a little bit better, like in terms of the amount of games
shots fired.
but there are some similarities for sure. I like Toth. I somehow got time at all 5 spots, and man, I like to think back and think that they ever actually put me at left tackle and right tackle. That is just bad coaching.
Nah, I think you're in their trust, right? And I think you probably also were a more trustworthy snapper of the football than Brett Toth has been throughout his career. I mean, listen, we got to gas up the guests. You know, it's Ross. We got Ross here. I got to make sure I give him his flowers. So, Ross, I want to move out one spot here from tackle to tight end. We've talked a lot about, you know, this third tight end battle between EJ Jenkins, Kyle Granson. I guess you could throw Nick Muse and Cameron Latu in there as well. We mostly, I feel like, evaluate these guys based off of what they contribute in the pass game because we don't necessarily notice them as much in the run blocking game. But obviously, that's going to be a big part of whoever gets that job. They're going to have to be able to contribute in line and be able to do some of the dirty work. I guess who stands out in that field of those guys who, when you think about the actual role that they'll fill in a game situation?
Well, and I'll add to that special teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay? I think people are underestimating the increased importance in special teams. You know, last year, I think it was 33% of the kickoffs were returned, which is way up from 21% the year before. With the touchback being the 35, guys, we're talking about like 80% returns. I mean, we're talking about 4 to 6 more, you know, depending on the scoring in a game, special teams plays, explosive special teams plays per game. I do think that will be a differentiator. So I know that's one of the things with all these spots, the 5th or 6th receiver, the 3rd or 4th tight end, whatever it is, right? What I always look for is how many special teams are they on? What's their special teams background? Does it look like they're with the starting special teams? I mean, I know, I remember one year, okay, I got a little banged up. And when I came back to Buffalo, I was no longer on the field goal team or kickoff return team. That's how I knew. That's how I knew at that time I was out. And I tried to get back in. I couldn't get back in, but that is how I knew. So keep an eye on special teams as well. Interestingly, I think both Jenkins and Granson can contribute mightily to special teams. There's also a lot of other factors. Like I don't know which one the coaches trust more. It seems like they're pretty tight. You know, there's also which one are they more likely to be able to get on the practice squad? I mean, there are so many different factors at play here when they're making these decisions. I think that people, if you're looking at it like who is just the 3rd best tight end, especially if it's really close, you really have to consider special teams and waiver ability and all kinds of things. I think I just made that up.
2 quick things before you go, Ross, and I know we got to get you going. Because you're doing the broadcast, I know you get to spend time with the coaching staff. We haven't talked enough about Kevin Patullo, it feels like, given the fact that this is a brand new offensive coordinator for a Super Bowl caliber team. What have been your thoughts on Patullo and what he brings to the offense?
Yeah, so it's funny, Bo. You know I'm from Reading, grew up a diehard Eagles fan. I think Patullo is fantastic. Certainly, I thought he called a great game against the Bengals. But just in the meetings, he does come across as a guy with future head coach ability. You know, you can kind of tell that sometimes with how these guys handle themselves in meetings. He's extremely impressive. You know, I can remember it was like 4 sentences in that I knew Jonathan Gannon was going to be a head coach. I mean, that was blatantly obvious. And I think Patullo has some of those same traits. The thing that I am concerned about for him, having grown up around here, is he is in a really, really tough spot, right? I mean, they just won the Super Bowl last year by like 40 points and the NFC Championship game. They have everybody coming back on offense except for the right guard. In the minds of the court of public opinion, right? Any issues with the offense this year,
Sure.
the blame goes to the new guy. I've seen it my whole life. The fingers will point at the new guy. He's what's changed. He's what's different. He's the bad guy. Blame him. And I said to him when we met with him, I said, "Are your kids ready for this?" Like, he's like, "Oh, we talk about it. And, you know, they're used to it." I was like, "Man, I don't know if they're used to it, like what this is going to be like, because they're going to lose a game, or they're going to have a game where they don't score that many points, and people are going to blame Patullo. He might have called the greatest game ever. Maybe there's drops. Maybe Jalen has a bad game, but that's a really, really tough position to be in." With a loaded roster coming back with super high expectations, and you're the only new guy.
All right, Ross, tell me about futurefans.com.
Bo, you will love this because you have little kids. Josh, I don't know about you, but here's the deal. These guys have cracked the code in how to get little kids to actually watch the game with you. I don't know about you guys.
Okay. I could use this.
On some level, I feel like I've failed. But I've learned over the last year or so, it's not just me. I would say kids between the ages of like 3 and 12, they have very little interest in sitting down on the couch and watching a whole game.
I can absolutely attest to that.
All I did, guys, after church on Sunday was race home. My dad and I would watch the entire game, right? Like the 91 Eagles, the 89 Eagles. Like I could name every player. Like I loved it. Kids like that are not like that. They want to be on their iPads. They want to be doing other stuff. And these guys I met from futurefans.com, they kind of cracked the code. It's a storybook, which kids love, led activity box. Kids love the activities, right? Yep. It teaches them football, like the downs and all that stuff, in a way that they can comprehend it and then actually understand enough to want to sit down and watch it with you. These guys, they're Bengals fans. They could not get their kids to sit down and watch the playoff run when they went to the Super Bowl a few years ago. One of their kids said, "I'll watch it next year." They're like, no, there is no next year. Like, we're Bengals fans. We're going to the Super Bowl this year. Sit on the couch and watch. That does not work. Futurefans.com and what these guys have come up with, that does work. So if you know anybody that has kids, or if you have kids, nieces, nephew, grandkids, go to futurefans.com. It'll feel like you're getting a gift for your kid. It's really a gift to yourself of having that shared experience with your child or grandchild or whatever every Sunday, hopefully for years to come, watching the birds. It's futurefans.com.
This is very up my alley. Ross, thank you so much. We look forward to listening tomorrow night.
My pleasure. Great talking with you guys always. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Ross.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ross Tucker of the Ross Tucker Podcast. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Closing in on overtime, but not quite there yet. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I feel like my addition skills.
Do you think he was expecting a Kylan Granson, EJ Jenkins question?
You got to keep people on their toes.
Yeah, I like that.
I figured, listen, it's like his area of expertise is,
Yeah.
the trenches, and those guys, I think it was a good point. Like, these guys have to be able to do the dirty work. I think we may overweight sometimes just how many passes they catch in training camp because it's an easier way to evaluate them.
Sure.
But I feel like Ross, he's got an eye for those things. So no, I felt like it was a good question, but he definitely probably wasn't expecting those two to come up.
I never said it wasn't a good question. Should ask him about Nankles.
Again, you've made some good shows on this podcast, or jokes on this podcast. I don't know why the Nankles really just got you unhinged.
There are a lot of people who disagree that I've made good jokes on this podcast, but it's not I'm laughing at the Nankle. It's just the imagery that and then I'm thinking about it. That's good stuff. All right. It's time, finally, to tell you that we are going to be joining you in Bovertime. I don't have much for Bovertime today.
Well, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
When am I going to get to do my first Bovertime?
EJ time?
No. I can just
Oh, I'm happy to toss it to you.
like, maybe not today. I'll be
It's
honest.
too late now.
Getting used to the daily podcast grind. You
Yeah.
you kind of need to make sure you preserve your voice. Like,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, I've noticed that by the end of the week, my voice is like, yeah, maybe don't call everybody on the way home from the podcast because
Interesting.
you might wear things out a little bit. So,
What else have you learned second week on the job?
Well, we've gone over that. I know how to get here now.
Yeah,
I can
congratulations.
do that efficiently. I mean, I'm not just saying this because we are live and I'm sitting right next to you. I learned that the show is more fun than even I expected it to be.
How about that?
I figured that there would be some growing pains or maybe some hiccups. And listen, I'm not saying I'm perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but
I think you're perfect, DJ.
This kind of breezes by because we just talk about the Eagles and have a good time. So, and I hope that that conveys to the audience. So,
well said. I think we have a super chat to get to that we haven't done just yet.
I get two.
No, we did the other one already.
We did Shipley.
Fresh Prince says that's the best quarter zip in PHLY history. I'm loving the coordination of the laptop stickers. EJ, could you confirm if you use your laptop to text?
During the show or in general? Because during the show, I try not to look at anything.
I appreciate that.
That's not just my very disorganized Google Doc. That should keep me busy. But yeah, I use the laptop to text.
That Google Doc is embarrassing. But
listen, again, this is a window into my mind. This is what it looks like up here all the time. Chaotic.
It's not even chaotic. It's just
crude.
Yeah, crude is right.
Listen, I'm not here to be on trial about my Google Doc. To answer the question, I do text on my laptop. I actually prefer texting on my laptop. You can be, I mean, listen, we're in the
you're
business.
a writer.
I can be a little more eloquent, and I have been known to send a long text. I don't do well. Sometimes I am guilty of like the double text, but never more than a double text if I can help it.
I don't mind a double text.
Can I be honest with you?
Please.
You text like an old millennial.
I believe that. How so? Go on.
You will answer something, haha. If like somebody answered something, haha, to me, I would be like, or if like I texted like if my wife texts me and is like, hey, like, I'm getting something, or like, something's happening in my life right now.
I mean, I am an old millennial. I'm just an old person.
No, it's just the truth.
Okay.
So like, if my wife texted me like, gonna grab something, I don't know. I can't think of a good scenario, but if I answered just haha, she'd probably call me and be like, what is your problem? Like, what is wrong with you? So yeah, you're brief, and that's fine. I know that you got to know your audience, right? You have to know that it's not like a passive aggressive one word answer.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
Well, if it gave you a ha, then you could call me.
So now we're learning. And you're not a big exclamation point guy, and like I have to like edit the exclamation points out of my text messages.
Oh, well, again, that's know your audience. Yeah, there are some people who I would go exclamation point to.
Oh, well, it's just me then that you're never enthused to talk to.
No, I just I don't. You don't strike me as I gotta throw an exclamation point, a superfluous one.
I mean, listen, we are communicating over text just fine, so I don't think you need to change it up. But no, I mean, I don't know if you've noticed, I'm heavy on the exclamation points in my communication.
It hasn't caught my eye as out of the ordinary.
Well, that's good. I guess that's reassuring that I'm not overdoing it. But no, I text enough old millennials to know that it's not personal.
Ethan, you're a young
message.
What's your exclamation point usage like? Okay. And are you texting? Are you on a different app? What are you doing? Okay.
Are you young enough that you don't really use emojis? Like, I'll slap like the 3 crying face emojis after anything. And the young people, they don't do that. They're not into that.
It depends. Maybe like one.
Okay.
I react a lot.
Oh yeah, the reaction. Oh man.
Okay.
It's like the one.
But we're not doing reactions on like group texts, right?
Oh no, that's the youngs. They love a reaction. It's the one thing that the olds and the youngs really align on is like an emoji reaction to something that probably should have just been an answer. By the way, I said I don't text on the show. I did just text my wife, haha, just to see if I would get a reaction from her.
Well, now we gotta hold on.
Show. I mean, no, it's not even delivering. She's in Costco right now. So.
Oh, shout out to Costco.
Shout out Costco. Are we allowed to shout out Costco?
Probably not.
Probably shouldn't. Yeah. unless they want to sponsor us.
All right. Just so everybody knows, show returns tomorrow at 2 o'clock. It's going to be Jamie and Rich running things. And then we will have another quick post-game show for you after the preseason finale tomorrow night. We've got 53-man roster coming down next week. We got spread your wins and fly we got to do. We want to do like a
I have so much anxiety.
Campbell question episode. We got all kinds of fun stuff coming.
I have so much anxiety for the games that are coming up in my future and the rules that I need to, like, I've listened to them, but I wasn't, studying.
Welcome to the Thunderdome.
Be kind to me. You and the
No
chat.
promises.
I need the chat to remember that, I'm a rookie here, got a grade on a curve.
Is that what you would do with a rookie on the field?
You don't throw everything at Jihaad Campbell in week 1. You give him till the midseason.
Maybe you throw too much at him, but it's in service of getting him ready.
My first time sitting here with you and Daniz and playing any of the games, Swooper in particular, I'm terrified.
Okay.
I got to watch the tape.
Look forward to it. That'll do it for this episode of the PHLY Eagles podcast. Thank you to Doodad Dental Group, True Mark Financial Credit Union, and Xfinity for making it all happen. Thanks to Ethan for running things behind the scenes. We will talk to you tomorrow at 2 o'clock. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.